You know, every time I look at this Concorde aircraft taking off, every time I think of these satellites which are floating up there, making this communication so easy for us, every time I look at this jungle of electrical cables, running up and down in our cities, and every other object that we see around us, this building that we see around us, I get really amazed by what engineering can do for us, right? Without engineering, almost this life would just be standstill. And probably it started when several thousand years back, man first figured out a clay and made a clay pot. Probably engineering started there. Welcome to Off Center for Design, OCD. OCD is all about online education and training in design. Why OCD? Sounded suddenly like obsessive compulsive disorder, right? Actually, we were looking for an unusual name. Designers across the world enjoy, uh, looking for unusual names, offbeat names. Like Frog Design is one design firm in the US. Elephant Design, Lemon Design, Visawig, Umbrella Design, Desmania are some design firms in India. So we also thought we should have an interesting name and an unusual one. Normally, we name things with the word center, either as prefix or suffix, right? For example, kidney center or center for mental health, center for sugarcane research, center for this, center for that, whatever. We thought, why should it always be a center? What if it was little away from the center? So suddenly this name came to us, Off Center. So that sounded really cool, Off Center for Design. So we thought we'll freeze on this, Off Center for Design. Okay, that's a little bit about the name of the firm. Actually, this is an evolved version of a design institute that we started 4 years back. And it was a 5-year program. And under the name TIDES, Tadal Institute of Design and Environmental Studies. This institute is located in Coimbatore. Right here, what you see right now, this is the part of the institute. And we offered a 5-year program, and it was a diploma program. We were very particular that it should be a diploma program because almost all the time, degree programs have a lot of restrictions. You cannot do things as you wish, you are answerable to somebody somewhere. And there was no 5-year degree program anyways. It's only a 4-year degree program, bachelor's in design. Design programs normally require 5 years or more to really understand the nuances in an intense and in full depth manner. For example, architecture is 5 years. Design, when we studied at NID in the 1980s, it was also a 5-year program, and before us, it was a 5.5-year program. Imagine, 5.5-year program, and it's just a diploma program. So it gives us a lot of freedom to do things in different ways. And there are no exam systems. It is a jury system, and primarily learning by doing, experimental. There was no one given subject area that you would pick up and study, read about, try to remember, and go put it on the exam and pass the exam. No, it was not like that. It is experimental, and you find your own path, you explore, trial and error, And all these possibilities were there, you know. It was an amazing pedagogy that we experienced when we studied at NID in the 1980s. So we also wanted to relive that experience and also share that experience with the new students who wanted to study design. So, with that in mind, we started this institute. It is that idea of the institute that 4 years later now evolved into an online program in design. At Off Center for Design, we offer two uh, categories of programs. One is design programs, and the other is art programs. Design programs are like a 2.5 years part time full program in industrial design. It's a full program. It's like getting a diploma in in a regular institute, a design institute. Then the other are smaller short-term programs. 3 months design process for new product development, jewelry design, lifestyle accessory design, and logo design. These are the design programs as of now we are ready to offer. And on the art side, we have freehand drawing, we have watercolor and oil painting, and we have drawing for design. These are the art side programs that we are offering. There are two versions of the online program. One is for engineers who already have a certain amount of technical knowledge and technical understanding with them, because design requires a certain amount of technical understanding and technical abilities to translate your sketched design to reality, because it requires manufacturing process, it requires material structural structures, you know, understanding the production process and all that stuff. So the two versions, one version is for engineers where the technical knowledge is not given to them. The other version is for non-engineers where we also give the technical knowledge that is related to materials and structures and production process. These are essentially the two different versions of the programs. Now coming to the eligibility criteria. What is the eligibility requirement for taking up this program? I'll start with saying that drawing and sketching and 3D visualization is must, is must for design programs. However, I will also sketch out something that gives a better understanding of what the requirements are. So, in order to understand this, we need to say that design has two phases to it, two sides to it. One is the usability aspect of design, the other is the visual design aspect of design. Let's take an example of a fan, any product for that matter, a fan. A fan has usability aspects. That is, how easy it is to switch it on, switch it off, carrying it, and adjusting the height, keeping it clean, etc. These are the usability aspects of the fan. The other aspect of the fan is, what does it look like? The visual design, the color of the product, the product graphics on the fan, the visual design, the styling. Is the color and is the form of the fan in trend today? Is it the kind of fan that everybody is wanting to buy? I mean, in terms of look and feel? This is the second aspect to it. Now, why I am separating these two, even though eventually it is integrated in a product? Okay, there is a reason why I am separating these two aspects. Usability is against visual design. Usability is a lot about science of the user. Visual design requires a lot of uh, drawing, sketching, an inherent sense of form, inherent sense of color, composition, all these soft qualities. Not everyone is necessarily good in the visual design of product. You know, some are some have a natural likeness, natural flair for a good sense of form, good colors, good graphics, good typography, and some don't. So it's fine. Design is always a teamwork, and one can always borrow this talent from each other. Some in a team of designers, somebody is good with analysis, somebody is good with social skills and communication skills. Someone is good with styling, sketching, visual design aspects. That's how typically a design team or design firm works. So it's fine. But why I differentiated this, the point here is that if you are good in sketching, drawing, which is why we are looking at your portfolio, whether you have good drawing skills, etc., is because design requires good drawing skills. Because when it comes to styling a product, not the usability aspect of the product, but when it comes to the visual design aspect of the product, you will need good sketching abilities, good 3D visualization skills to translate what's there in your mind to paper, and from paper to a mock-up model, and from a mock-up model to a prototype, and so on. Right? So, which is why good drawing skills is must. Right? Okay. And now coming to the point of why this tagline, education with training. Design process doesn't stop with giving a sketch to somebody saying that here is the new design for a fan, for a chair, for a car, or for a two-wheeler, whatever. It doesn't stop there. Because engineering things are quite easy to communicate to somebody. For example, you want somebody to cut an L angle about 12 inches long, you can simply say, take an L angle 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches and 3 mm thickness, measure 12 inches, cut it and give it to me. The person should be able to do that without any problems. But how would you communicate, like what is shown here? How would you communicate the radius of how would you communicate the curve, the nature of the curve in this car, for example? The front bonnet, how would you communicate this to a person? You can sketch it, fine, but it is not a 2D object in real. In real, it's a 3D object. So what you are sketching need not necessarily look like what it is on paper once it is made into 3D form. Even for yourself, you would realize that after making a 3D mock-up model of your sketch, you would realize that, hey, this is not looking like the sketch that you made, or it is not, really the same as what you visualized. So from your sketch to the mock-up model, you are likely to change it. You are likely to refine it. Well, from the mock-up model, it has to become a prototype. Chances are that when it's translating to real material with all its glossiness and the color and stuff like that, it is likely to change again. Your mind is likely to change again. So the point to remember here is that your design process doesn't stop with you making a sketch and giving it to the client. It continues while you're making a mock-up model, and it goes on till you make a prototype, and it goes on till you create the final production drawings. So Education with training is education is to the mind, training is to the hands, to the body, which is involved in making the mock-up models and the prototype. So designers should understand and should passionately be involved in translating their thoughts, their designs into mock-up models, and from there to prototypes and so on. Right? So that's why the tagline education with training. Okay? We hope you found this interesting. We invite you all to take this journey and have a great day. Thank you.